Hello and welcome to the very first episode of The Citizen Situation, a Star Citizen podcast aimed at debating the hard topics and providing constructive criticism to CIG. Therefore, each week you will have a core of three hosts and a guest who's brave enough to sit down with us and tackle these topics with us. For this starting week, you just got us three. From next episode onwards, we very much hope to have a guest with each episode that can provide us with a different point of view. By taking on these hard topics, we hope that we can create a platform for a well-managed debate on them, without sadly the often present conflict. Now, these will not be the topics that make you cheer, but they are the ones that make you think and consider matters. Matters that we strongly believe need to be considered with care, because we love Star Citizen, and above all, we want it to succeed, to be an amazing game that we were promised and that we all desire. So I hope that you're strapped in for takeoff and did not skip on your meals, because this will be a flight of many turns and ideas before we reach the end, in which we will provide solutions to the topics we are debating. Now make no mistake, we do not believe that we know it all, but we aim to be constructive, and just saying something ain't what it should be without saying what it should be is really not helping anyone. But I do not want to keep on babbling, as good as I might be at it. So instead, as I say this time, for the hosts to introduce themselves, starting off with Asuna.
Hi, I'm Asuna. I'm a concierge member. I'm also a volunteer and Bar Citizen coordinator. And I've been playing Star Citizen for 4 years now. And I'm now off to Traz.
Oh, thanks, Asuna. Hey, all, Traz Ion here. Founder of the Star Citizen Ready Player One Facebook community. I coordinate some Bar Citizens locally. I've done some other events. I did a little bit of stream co-hosting for about a year or so, supporting Star Citizen. We did the guest things too for a while. I kind of retired, and I guess I'm back again. I got talked into it. Thanks, guys. You guys are awesome.
You're welcome.
Personally, I'm a lifelong gamer, huge supporter of Star Citizen and the dream that it represents. Although, with all the, I guess, more controversial changes, I would rather prefer myself to be a community advocate over anything. So, I love the game and I love the people behind it, but, sometimes we don't always agree. And so, let's gotta discuss it out. Anyways, let me turn it over to Carde. He is our awesome, illustrious host. Take it away.
Thank you, Traz. I am Carde. I am a Star Citizen backer since the Kickstarter days. These days I reside in the mid-concierge levels, probably where I should not be considering where I am, but we love things and we spend on them, and I still enjoy it in many ways. But I am agree hearing what Traz said. There are things that are happening and that things should be brought to light and debated. Like Asuna, I have also been a volunteer for CIG events. I've been at Gamescom for 3 years and I've partaken in CitizenCom as well, which is incredibly fun to do, I will say. So if you're ever considering it, it might be one. It is a lot of work, long days, short nights, but it's amazing. Besides that, I have been enjoying games since, well, pretty much when I ever could, and it was mostly at friends' houses because it took a while before I could get a PC working at my own house. Not a lover of the consoles, because it never really worked for me, so I've probably been the owner of the least used PS2 that has ever been plugged into a socket. Besides that, I'm an active science fiction lover. I've been reading and also writing for 15 years, also creating my own universes. So as a result of that, stories are really what I go for, stories and characters. And sometimes gameplay tends to go a little bit down on the priority scale for me.
You look so young for
50 years.
Don't you know? These things, they hide my ears. I'm a Vulcan.
You take them off, they're like the hairy old man ears.
No. They're pointy. I'm a Vulcan. Vulcans become over 200 years old.
Nice.
So, Carde, I do agree that volunteering is a lot of work, also a lot of fun.
Yep.
Really a lot of fun. It's like a family.
It is a family in its own way.
Sure. You gotta love the Star Citizen community as a whole.
Yeah.
You've got your outliers and your extremes on all sides, but at the end of the day, we're all gamers. We all love what the dream is. We all bought into that.
If you
That's
ever
why we're
want
passionate.
to enjoy that passionate community, like going to a citizen con is hugely recommended. If that's not possible to you, look for your local bar citizens.
Bar citizens are amazing.
Things like that. They're freaking
Land
awesome.
Citizen this Saturday, Dallas Fort Worth. Ooh.
Yeah. Go for it. And we had one in the Netherlands and Belgium. Was last Saturday, I believe it was.
Yeah, and it was amazing. There are videos online on YouTube about the bar citizen itself, if you're interested.
So yeah, community can be absolutely amazing, and you can experience the very best of it. But instead of talking about all of us, I think it is very much time that we introduce our topic for this episode. And it is going to be a very large one, and one that links to a lot of things and that encompasses a lot of things. That probably will also generate new topics that we may find out, but also you could suggest down in the comments below. So our topic is going to be communication and transparency. A combination of items that has been linked very closely to the Star Citizen project. Since the beginning, they have been promising to be very open to us, very inclusive, and be very much in two-way communication and being very transparent in the things that they've been doing. The question is, these days, is that still being the case? Are they still handling their communication and their transparency correctly and wisely? So it's no doubt going to be a very tricky subject, but it's also one I think that's going to be of great interest to everyone. So I'd like to start it off with each of us giving an opening statement. So Traz, why don't you start us off on these?
Sure. I mean, I think the community-wide, we all have heard the mantra of transparency, and it's one of the core values, so to speak, of CIG, at least declaration-wise. I think early on in the early days of the company, it was easy to be transparent because you just really had to talk about intention and dreams. But as time has moved on and the game has matured and people's expectations have equally, we demand more information. And I feel that CIG is failing despite all their amazing efforts to put out, content every week, video-wise and everything else. A lot of that content, I think, leaves more the impression of pushing marketing and hype for generating more sales and less about actually outlining and engaging the more core systems that people want to know about so they can plan and be excited and trust that the game is actually going somewhere. Like as a community, we don't have a unified vision of where things are going. Everybody has their own theory craft on it, and it's very frustrating. So that's where I kind of feel it is. Asuna, what do you got?
Yeah, I agree. So I feel that CIG was better in the beginning, and now they're just like walking behind the news. There's the change in Star Citizen that we don't know about, but they change it, and then there's news online, negative news maybe, and then they react to it, not always in a good way. I feel they should put out news or ask the community before they make a change.
Sure.
Because how do they know if we like it or not if they don't tell us? And if they put out the information before they change it, they'll avoid a lot of the negative news. And they can ask the people what they like, and if they don't like such a change, they don't have to make it. And they won't have any negative news about it. Mm-hmm. And in the end, we're all here to see Star Citizen succeed. And we all want to be together without the toxic players or the toxic people, and have all the information that we need. And to do so, we need information from them, and I feel that they've been lacking in giving it to us.
Sure.
Okay. So yeah, it's very much the two are quite aligned on that one. In regards, like there's just a lack of information coming out from CIG, and also a case of like when they make changes, instead of informing us in advance, they do damage control after the fact.
Reactionary, right?
Yeah, I think also for my perspective, what I'm really seeing is the difference between a small group of enthusiasts to a absolutely behemoth of a game development company. like, make no mistake, the size of CIG these days is absolutely enormous. Of course, with CIG, like, we just don't only talk about, like, if you look at a factory, like, of course, you got CIG, but you also got Foundry 42, which, of course, far more larger, but we will all address them under CIG in that aspect. But yeah, it's something that you see quite a lot in different sort of projects. Just looking throughout history, like, as companies grow, these initial values tend to diminish over time. And I think it's one of the signs of a very strong company that would say that they really manage to keep those values going, despite the fact that they're growing and growing and growing, no matter how difficult it is, because it is more and more difficult to keep to certain values, and like openness and communication, the larger you grow. So I fully understand that with certain information, it's going to be not something that you want to give out immediately, because it could be, you could even say there's certain trade secrets, but also, like, you know, without the contextual information that you may not yet have fully ready, people are going to take it out of context and they're going to make a whole mess of it.
Sure. Well, I mean,
I will say in the core, I do fully agree. Like, the information that is coming out right now is lacking, often behind the fact, and very much way too fragmented. It's next to impossible to find actually information on anything without being pointed to 10 different sources, and most of the times they tend to contradict each other as well.
No, I know we don't. I know we don't have a guest this time, and I think the three of us both sort of share the same rough general opinion, and we'll probably talk about that. But just to be fair, I know that within the community, the feedback that I've heard on the opposite side of the fence from that is that, CIG puts out, both all the videos they do every week, ATV, RTV,
yep.
The devs, and especially recently, I know there was a bit of controversy there, on the various communities, Reddit, Facebook, Twitter, and Spectrum, and so much so that Chris Roberts actually, there was an article that was released too massively. It was unsigned. There was also then Chris actually responded, I think in the chairman's letter maybe, or one of the newsletters that went out, and then responded additionally specifically to those issues. So that might be something we'll talk about as well, I think, because we should definitely look at the opposing view in the course of our discussion. So
very much.
Is it enough?
Like both
why is that? Because
definitely
definitely backers have different opinions about. Whew, it's hot.
I mean, there are 2 million of us. We're bound to have different opinions.
Yeah.
Well,
but
there's 2 million accounts.
Both of you said, like, damage control. I've studied information security management, and damage control is one of the topics. And you prevent by putting out information in Star Citizen's case, or you do damage control. I feel, and you need to balance it, and I feel that CIG is going all the way to damage control and not preventing.
Right.
Like, putting out the information first.
Absolutely.
They need to rebalance that.
And especially when you
point. I mean, you can take attributes from any kind of operational security dogma, whether it's IT security and cybersecurity, or whether it's just management or just preventative. How do you protect the reputation of your company? And those principles need to be put into action in a more responsible way. Anyways. Right.
I think what CIG is really lacking is just is internal procedures on these kind of matters as well. Because the company where I'm working for is like anything, such things with communication to the outside, like their entire checklists to go through for anything and everything that is like that needs to be brought out. There are whole steps that need to go through, people that needs to go through, and of course those things take time. Make no mistake, even if you need to do it reactionary. But
I think
my problem with being the reactionary stuff that's happening right now is that quite a lot of it is reactionary to stuff that they change so they know it's public.
Right.
So you know it's coming, you're putting it out there, but you're putting it out there without the information attached to it. And that's already a bad thing, but it's also a bad thing that you're actually putting it out there without informing us actually in advance, or even, as Asuna said in her statement at the beginning, asking us about it. Like in the end, as we say, like it's not wanting to be coming over as the entitlement, but as the backers of the project, like in the end, we are the ones that made it possible,
Right.
like it or not, and we're also the ones that continue to make it possible.
Well, even the devs will tell you that, we as backers have an obligation to be the publisher for CIG because they don't have a publisher. And so, I mean, it might be frustrating when people voice their concerns loudly and whatever, but at the end of the day, it's a necessary part of a quality process. They have to have feedback, whether it's polite or not. But I do sympathize with CIG to a degree. Like the fact that they had such meteoric expansion, like, $200 million. They've expanded from 7 people in Austin to, over 500 with, room to grow still. It's obviously going to have growing pains. And we as backers obviously have to have responsible expectations and responsible, I guess, forgiveness and patience. But even in the face of those things, that doesn't make them immune to criticism.
You're still accountable
to do better.
Yeah, like we are the players. The game will live and die by us. If we don't play, they won't get money. So in the end, we have to like the game. And I also feel like it's not just putting out the information too late. It's also like they feel something is not important, but the community and people around them feel it's important. Like, what are their priorities in what they find important? That's kind of misaligned with what we think.
Sure.
Yeah, I think they underestimate the fact that gamers care about 100th of a percentile point of improvement in something. Because it is an improvement. It is a difference. We're gonna care about it.
Struts.
Like, if you see a change, look at any game with patches, and they make an absolutely minor change, there are bound to be people that are going to be up in arms about it.
Yeah.
Right. And that definitely does create a hard situation because, when devs are expressing that, oh, it's so personal and like we're not gonna talk to you anymore because you're making it difficult to talk to us and so on and so forth. And I've heard this expressed not from a dev, but just from an agent of CIG at one point in time. And I mean, while I sympathize on the human level, at the end of the day, you're also doing a job. You have a professional responsibility to your constituents, your clients, your donors, to keep their faith. And I know for myself, like I've contributed a substantial amount of love, energy, time, money to this project, and for that, for me to lose as much faith as I have, that's not something that you can easily or should easily write off. Any backer who's on the verge of walking away from your project because you need to be asking questions, why? Like, what can I do to keep you? What instead of leaning on the, I guess, the super just Kool-Aid drinking. I don't want to be insulting, but like instead of leaning on your super advocates to defend you, like you as a company need to defend yourself by actually engaging in a conversation with the people that you're on the verge of losing.
Yeah, and I forgot who it was, but I think it was at some debate also with another YouTuber who does a lot of videos on MMOs. One of the things he mentioned also is like one of the, I'm not sure if, I think he linked it with somewhere, but it was somebody who also once said like, the people that tell you why they leave your game are the most important ones. He said because 99% of the people that leave never tell you a thing. They're gone.
Right.
So that 1% that is, or even that 0.1% that is actually telling you something, they're so critically important because there's always a reason why people are leaving. And that reason can be entirely do things that you will be like, yeah, can't do much about it. Or like, this is indeed a choice that we made. We believe the overwhelming majority of the community has responded positively. Some will not. Those things happen. But there are also a lot of points that can be made by people that are just like, yeah, this I didn't not really like. However, I would like to go, keep it on track on regarding communication and transparency.
Sure. I mean, it's a deep topic. It touches
It's a very deep topic.
aspects
That's why
of
I'm
the
trying to, and like these points that we're going to bring up are very good to note down and bring them up later again.
Right.
But I think if we're going back to the main topic regarding like also transparency, one of the things that we talked about between the three of us before is game design documents.
Right.
Because we are,
Favorite
like it
issue.
or not, we are it's a fair issue, and it's, of course, it's a very deep issue again, but it does come into the transparency side of things very much so, because we're in a project that right now is at a stage that we should expect that CRG, I hope, very much knows what they want to do with certain sorts of game mechanics. Because at some point you just need to say, like, this is what we're gonna do, and you're gonna, stake it down and say, this is what it's gonna be, this is what we're gonna make, and nothing else. And if we want to change it, we can do that later, but first we need to make it. So what are the game mechanics going to be? Because we keep seeing ships and other things being added, but it's very limited and marginal information around them. Like, I'm not even talking about the free sales that I do, like these VIP sales, because those are even worse, because you know literally nothing. But even with the concept sales that we're seeing, like, they are introducing things, but we're just like, okay, but what is the actual gameplay going to be? How is this going to work out? What is it going to do in detail? I'm sure you have more information available. Provide that to us, because you're asking us to give you money for something that we don't even know how it's going to work out.
So another small part I feel is like, do you remember the time where they gave out a plaque and other stuff when they reach goals, or it's Christmas and stuff?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Are we talking about stretch goals back in the day where we hit
like
the millions, or are we talking about the concierge tier system?
No, it's items they gave to backers, like the Christmas item and.
Oh right, yeah.
They used to do all kinds of stuff in the past about giving items to the backers.
Sure, they were much more.
I don't see that anymore.
Open. Well,
like,
it's
like a thank you to the backers that started early. And
right,
where is
the
that
thank yous now come with the caveat of only if you're buying with new cash. It started
but then we're
2016.
Yeah,
So
we're going back into the full sales, which I think we're gonna have a full podcast on without question. Well, the point is in the key of the them being transparent with what the game is actually going to be.
Right.
Because when I'm looking at things, and maybe that's just my thing, what I want to find out how certain things work. Like, they have some documents on there, like on the repair and stuff like that, but the information that's in there, when I'm reading through them, and if I'm looking at it, like, if I want to design a game and I design universes, I write them and I write the rules for them. So those are things that I look at that and I'm like, okay, but there's not remotely enough information in there.
Right.
To
You're
say
forced to go to many different places.
Yeah.
Yeah,
and even then, you don't get the whole story.
As someone who has studied game development for a year, I really feel the same. Like, we started with game design and then went on to game programming. Of course, with Star Citizen as a growing game, that's kind of impossible. But at this point, they need more document. It needs to be planned what they're going to make now, because they're not expanding on the game anymore as new ideas, or at least not much. They need ideas because it all needs to connect in the end. And if they're programming now and then adding a new feature and planning it out, that might not work together.
Yeah.
And that's going to take away a lot of time of the development.
Yeah. Because if just looking back, like, if you look at the medical gameplay that they have recently released their design a document about, and they're like, okay, there's very little info there, but okay, how is this going to interact with somebody that used an escape pod? How is this going to interact with somebody that fought on the ground? How is this going to interact with salvage? How is this going to interact with repairs? How are my medical facilities going to be on a larger ship like an Idris? All of these things, they all need to interact and all need to be, linked together.
So an interesting interjection, and I know that in the course of talking about the struggles with design documents being light, a valid counter to part of that argument is that, well, Star Citizen uses the agile method and Scrum, and basically these are some development workflow ideas, rather than doing like a waterfall method where you start at the top and you just go point to point to point to point. It's very linear. Agile is kind of the opposite of that. Like, they just work on a lot of different things, and as they approach the end, they piece it all together. Now, understanding that is important so that we set accurate expectations. But here's the thing, though. That defense as an argument only goes so far. It goes so far when it's relative to certain kinds of gameplay and game mechanics, and how do we take this idea and convert it into the technical side of things. But what it doesn't, where it doesn't work, or where I feel, and I could be wrong, like, please in the comments you're welcome to elucidate me upon where I do not understand the design process correctly, and that would be valid. I'm open to that. That's fine. But at the end of the day, the high level stuff, like the economics. So we're selling UEC with no limit, but there's been no conversation, no discussion, no outline, no public facing economic document that talks about what kinds of checks and balances are going to be in place to prevent some of the negative aspects that have been demonstrated in other large scale games that have open economies. Most games, once their economy has been bent over and wrecked, the game doesn't last a whole lot longer beyond that, because the economy is so critical. I mean, you can make some comparisons to, WoW and EVE Online and how they do their mods, and some of those comparisons are valid.
Oh, EVE
some
Online.
Of those comparisons, right? I know some of those comparisons are not valid, because Star Citizen is going to be a different kind of creature. But the thing is it doesn't matter. We shouldn't have to be fighting with other backers over the theory craft of how well they're probably going to do it this way.
We should have the information.
Right. We should have that information. And that high-level information is the kind of stuff that needed to be worked out ahead of time. I mean, you can't just walk into the hardware store, pick up a bunch of random stuff. I mean, you can do it when you're going back.
I think we're on the line there, but Asuna, you're trying to get in as well?
There's another game that's maybe in a different way more closely to Star Citizen than EVE is, and that's Uncharted Waters Online. It's basically Star Citizen on water, and the moment they put in the cash shop, and you're able to buy ships with cash in the game, or in Star Citizen's case, spend money for UEC, it's going to ruin the economy if it's too much. If people can spend unlimited amounts.
Well,
on that one, this one, because I like to use that system. I know that EVE Online, like I play EVE Online. A lot of people have always been praising it for the, it's amazing. I play another space game. I mean, I actually quit many years ago, recently returned, but that is not like, a lot of people praised always EVE Online. Like, the only way to buy in-game cash was by selling game time. Right. And for a long time, this was literally like a one-to-one transaction. It even went through the forum, so it was a lot like... It was very simple. Like, I put a code, I say I've got some codes for, like, either back then it was like 30 or 90-day time cards, and the prices you do compete on the forums, and you say like this much, and you agree, they send you the ISK, you send them the code, they use the code. At some point, they changed it to becoming an in-game item. The moment they did that, people started to hoard those items. Right. Why? Because the price was always going up.
Sure. Yeah.
Like, it was going up and up and up and up. Right now, and if you, like, talking about in-game economies, like, there are so many plexes in EVE Online. Like, the EVE Online economy, as it stands, is already completely ruined, but the amount of plex are in there, that's... If people want to, they can completely nuke the entire economy with them. Like, they can completely make the plex worthless.
Right.
So the problem with the bringing in outside cash is that you need to have it very much limited. Now, I will say, like, if we're going to go on this topic briefly, because we will go probably on the full episode, I think when you have a fully launched game, it's a completely different story than when we're in a pre-launch game. Right. But as you said, the key for us right now is that, okay, you say it's not going to be a problem, but that is, let's say this is Chris Roberts speaking, just saying it's not going to be a problem. Nothing against Chris Roberts, but How? Because we have had more things that were not supposed to be a problem. Like, let's face it, Chris Roberts he has a brilliantly creative mind, but he is an eternal optimist. And eternal optimists don't really tend to have a lot of credibility, to be very fair and brutally honest in that one. Because people just know, like, you're an optimist, so your credibility automatically is going to be much lower, because you're going to believe it's going to be good anyway. So somebody that's more on the realistic side, as most people consider the realists to be pessimists, they tend to already automatically have more credibility, because you're going to say that more stuff is not going to work out. And like it or not, often stuff doesn't really work out as you had entirely perfectly hoped.
Yeah.
So
I mean, it's our job to be concerned with the things that threaten the success of the game.
That's it, and that's why we desire this information. Give us this clarity. Be transparent. And if you say, like, this is not going to be an issue, give us the design document on your economy. Like, tell us this is how the economy in in Star Citizen is going to work.
Or like, even intentions help.
Intentions,
not good intentions, but like
feature
intentions.
Give us the write down on it. Because if I like, you say an agile program, if I'm creating a universe, okay, I start with a simple idea and I start working from there. But the thing that I do is that everything I'm adding to it, I immediately look, I'm adding this, and I look to everything I already made, and I connect it to it. So each step I connect to all of the things that I've done before. So when you come up with something, you're going to add these things into it, start connecting them instantly, not after the fact. Because if you're doing it after the fact, you're always going to create more work. Sorry.
And then there's the other problem, like they talked about modularity. Modularity feels kind of out of the window. Like it's being less and less of an important thing in the game. They used to talk a lot about it's modular. I don't see that anymore. But where is the information about the change for that?
Right. What's happening? I mean, if you're going to change the whole system and you're going to migrate to remove it before we've ever even had it to try it, it's not that's. I mean, it may make segments of the backer population unhappy. I mean, I would be unhappy. I mean, I'm unhappy that they changed the 300i or the 300 series completely away from the modular platform that it was sold as. But what bothers me the most, if that was what was necessary, understood. I can back that. What bothers me is the lack of transparency.
Yep.
Yeah.
When did that change, and why? And why do we get it in little increments of, this dev mentions something over here, and then there's a line in the
monthly report, and there's something in a newsletter, and ATV mentioned something.
Like, if you make a change that's for us big, give us a why. Tell us why you make the change, and why that's not bad for us.
Like, write a document about it, and make a video about it. Just like, you decide to make the change. There's probably a lead developer on that side or something. Sit them down in front of a camera, have the document, and let them explain it. Because it gives not only transparency, but it also gives credibility. Because you're like, okay, we understand why you're making these changes. We may not like all of these changes, but there's a lot of things that are going to happen that we're not going to like.
Yeah,
but
of course.
Difference between liking and understanding.
It's fine. But, I mean, and I don't think any of us are advocating for design by committee. We're not asking for CIG to put out a poll on every feature and popularity wins. I mean,
absolutely
we don't.
Not.
That's
gonna
not it at all. It's just a responsible level of communication that doesn't leave us feeling like they're really, really arrogant and we're just here to be milked for money. That's unacceptable. Unacceptable.
Yeah, like
Asuna, your turn?
Yeah, design by committee, you can kind of compare it to what I know, the Dutch government. They talk, and all the parties need to agree, or mostly agree. And to change any law or anything, it's taking such a long time, and I know that's not gonna work.
Sorry, try.
So I agree with that. No, it's designed by committee is going to be horrible, but give us the why, and if it's important to us, ask us. Like we don't have to be the deciding factor. But
we don't have to be the deciding factor, but inform us.
Yeah, let's see what we like and what we think about it, and think about that before you make the actual change.
Because a very clear example, like sometimes some things like you can inform us about, and some things you can ask us about. Because, in generally, when things need to change, there are always options. I do not believe that there is always there's a single option, because that's never the case. So let's take we mentioned before the UEC story. They said like, yes, we removed the cap because we instituted that we refunded everything from that for each direct store, and otherwise it would get into conflict, yada yada yada. Okay. To me, like when I looked at that, I could see a solution as in, okay, you can refund it, and instead of getting your UEC credits, you would just get store credits because you know the exact balance between the two.
Okay, and that would match with what Chris Roberts said, that it was supposed to be more options and flexibility.
Yeah. It would match a lot of things that have been promised before. But even if you are not sure that that's what you wanted to do, those are the perfect kind of questions to put towards the community. Like you can look at people that spend in the 4G Direct store, and you can send those people an email with a poll in there. Like you can explain them like, okay, we're going to make these changes. We're going to remove the 4G Direct store. As a result of that, we want people to be able to, melt the items that are in there, because likely, the value is not going to be fully reflected in game to what you spent for them.
Right.
And but we're looking at the issue that if we're going to allow that, we're going to have a lot of UEC going to go into the economy, which will affect possibly the balance at the start of the game and right now in the betas. Alternatively, we can, instead of that you get UEC for these refunds, we'll just refund it fully to store credits. Now, which one of these options, as people that have spent money in the 4G Direct store, would you have preferred?
Right.
And then if people would have said, like, well, this is what we prefer, then you put out the communication. You said, like, well, we asked the people that spent the money in there. This is the feedback that we received from them. So as a result, we decided to take this course of action. And if a lot of people had said, like, yeah, we want the cap removed and we just want our UEC and stuff like that, okay.
Yeah.
Then maybe that would have been a justifiable decision. But you would have asked us and you would have communicated with us in advance. You would have been fully transparent with it. Right. And you would have put it out there.
Yeah, and in the end, you need an opinion of all the types of backers. You have the small backers, you have the medium backers, you even have the whales, and they all have a different opinion on pretty much every topic.
Sorry, I'm failing.
Sorry. Like whales will not mind, or the big whales will not mind as much the unlimited cap. Maybe some
not
will,
true.
Some not.
We're pretty divided about it, but
yeah. And then the medium people have a different opinion, and then people that spent like just the $45 will have a different opinion on topics like the UEC topic.
It's
like what will feel pay to win for one person will not feel pay to win for the other person.
Yeah, that's this, like, because you're not communicating with us, because that's another thing. Like a lot of people, like Traz, you said as a counter argument, people use like CIG is putting out so much information, but communication, at least the way I have been told it, is a two-way street. You tell me something, I tell you something.
Yes.
And like in the beginning, when it was much smaller, you could have that two-way street through the means of a bit of social media and your own forums that we had back then. Were perfectly fine. But as the size grows up, that is no longer sustainable. That's just a fact of life. There is no way around it. It's not possible for CIG to read through everything on Spectrum to get their feedback.
And the other problem
So it's their duty then to come up with other means to gather that feedback.
Sure.
Be that very, very well made polls, be that something else, but
yes, very well made polls, because are always guilty of usually having terrible questions.
Yeah, because terrible questions are going to give you terrible answers. And also, I said one of the key advantages also of poll, and I will go to you sooner. The other key advantage of having a poll is that they are anonymous. A lot of people right now, like it or not, because the way this community is, and because we have a lot of hostility, because we have two extreme factions on both sides that tend to be fighting each other and very much attacking people that want to just have a civilized debate in the middle, the average reasonable citizens. They don't really dare to speak up even more on Spectrum or on social media. So giving those people a means in which they can anonymously at least give their feedback to CIG, they will.
And that's a challenge with...
That's what I want to say. Like, you have the middle group, that's the big group, and then you have the one extreme, that's like the White Knight extreme, and the attacking or the negative extreme on the other side. They're the people you'll find on Spectrum and on Reddit now, mainly. And anyone that doesn't agree fully with them, so one side or one extreme will attack the middle group or the other side. And that scares people away from those places. Like, what I hear now is...
It's unfortunate.
I hear people talking about, the game, the community is amazing, but they're also being told to stay away from Reddit and from Spectrum. And that's where most of the questions will be asked and the polls will be made.
Yeah.
So you're getting, like, only the extremes will be answering that stuff.
Yeah.
And you're not getting the big
That's just
picture.
Unfortunate.
Yeah, you're not getting the big picture, you're not getting the big groups. You're just getting the extremes. And those are the smallest, but the most vocal people.
And the most useless.
Mainly for the game, yeah.
Traz?
Oh, there were a few things, but I guess just I know, like, about the UEC thing and bringing it back to transparency. I know that for myself, I've seen CIG pull some genius out of the bag before. I've seen them, work some tech sorcery and just do some amazing things. So I have a lot of reason to have faith that CIG is going to be able to come through with, a functional economic model. However, one success in the past or two successes or any number of success never guarantees a future success. At the end of the day, we are given nothing to base any kind of faith on in this moment. That transparency is absolutely missing, and it bothers me that we are left to the backers who want to defend blindly to make arguments for CIG, because their words are just theory craft. And to be fair, you could also say that the concerns and worries of the anti or those who are concerned, you could say that, well, that's just FUD.
It's theory crafting on both sides, because there is no information.
Right.
We don't have information. Like, I make a few videos on YouTube because the ship is launched and hey, I like it or I don't like it.
Right.
90% of that video is theory crafting.
Yeah, sure.
Because there is nothing else to go on. And don't get me wrong, I love the theory craft.
Yeah,
like,
all of us.
it's a lot of fun.
But
there is fun theory crafting. There's fun theory crafting, and there's not so much fun theory crafting because you get to look at it like, do they actually know what the fuck they're doing?
Turrets on fighters.
And but also another point, like on a communication, because we're bringing up the fact like people are being told not to go to Reddit and to Spectrum.
Yeah, that's...
Of course, when it comes to Reddit, like, Reddit is out of your hands because Reddit is Reddit, and, well, let's face it, that's Reddit. But regarding that Spectrum, like, is it also not part of their responsibility to make that Spectrum a nice place to be? Because I know certain game companies, like with their forums, they are extraordinarily strict on what they allow. Like, if people just attack another person instead of arguing or something, they're just like, bye, you're gone.
Well, I've heard mixed experiences on Spectrum to that. I've heard that they were overly controlling and overly dictator.
I'm not saying it's easy.
Mods are humans, but at the same time, how do you can't really force a good community, I guess.
You can't force a good community, but you can incentivize it.
Sure. Okay.
That's one of the things that I'm trying to, like, if you see people that are, if people are in an argument, there's an argument going on. But if people go into the argument and instead of arguing the points that are being argued, but argue against the people in it,
right,
or against their own principle, then you just need, okay, mods are humans, but at that point you just need to say, like, yeah, you're not getting the point.
Yeah.
And those are the kind of things. But also, like, if people are, say there are some topics going on, okay, say there's somebody made a topic about the UEC stuff, and there are people in there, and they're absolutely going in detail and depth, they're doing their research, they're coming up with good points. Incentivize those people, like, give them a forum badge. Something small, like, those are the kind of things, like, incentivize people to do the right things and punish them for doing the wrong things. I think that would help Spectrum a lot as well, and that's also an important part of communication, because there's communication between CIG and us.
Right.
But there's also the communication between us and the community.
What
you got to say?
That was shown on stream, by the way.
Oh.
Yeah. No, I.
But we are.
I agree. Like, can give an example. That's Overwatch. I don't play it, but I hear that they have a new way to help the people that are nice to other people and are helping. And I heard that.
Yeah,
they're giving they have a bonus system, and it works because people are nicer to each other now. And Overwatch was known just like League of Legends to be toxic, and it's getting less.
I've played it long, and
and it's getting less and less because of this new bonus system. You can do that on the forums.
Incentivizing people to do things is such a powerful measure, and it works. Like, it's not something like, oh, this works for communication in a game, something that works for everything in life. That's why it's such a powerful tool, and why it's been proven so many times.
Yeah, I think as well.
So I think it's going to be it'll be a really good thing for them to do.
Right. I don't know how they would do it, but I 100% agree with the idea that you need to tackle the root issue. And I think as much as, like, in both incentivizing people to have a good reason to be more socially responsible, I mean, that's something that I know that I would like, that CIG has talked about. Well, longer term, when the game is launched, we're going to find ways to make sure that there are social consequences to deny griefers their satisfaction, so that you can be a PvPer, you can be a pirate, but that's different and acceptable compared to just being a griefer. And that's a long ways on the road, but right now we're faced with forums and we're faced with those issues. And some of the issues are just that, well, if they would remove the source of salt, if they would, tap into the people that are leaving that are unhappy and find out, well, what's the problem? How do we fix that? If they would, or like what we three are saying here is like, give us a little more transparency. That's not just focused around selling us the next ship. Let's talk about, design or direction for the overarching game.
Yeah, I think
even if you got to put all the pieces together agile style at the end.
Yeah. I think we're getting very close towards where we're starting to offering solutions. So I think it's a fairly good point to say, like, let's close down the debate on the topic as we're starting to talk about solutions. So let's just go make a round, and each of us offers a few solutions and things that we think that could work for CIG. Asuna, you want to start?
For CIG to get better is to bring out information before change. If it's a big thing that we think is big, ask us about it. Let us discuss it. See what the community feels about it. But at the same time, also make sure that the forums get better. Like giving a bonus, like give points to people that are good, or that other people give points to people that are good on the forums. So that will bring back people, more kinds of people, and those people can also discuss what they like and dislike, so you don't just get the two extremes. So CIG will probably be more open to discuss all those topics again with us, because the community they interact with is better.
I'm going to give that a 10 of 10.
Well, then give your own.
I know, I was trying to like put it up on the phone, but that didn't work. So I was like, dang it. Couldn't be cool. You want me to go?
Yeah.
All right. So, I mean, I guess, I mean, this is such a passion project that it's a love affair, and love and hate, are both, strong emotions that are tied to things that you get the strongest reaction from those things that you're most passionate about. I just, I feel that they do have a responsibility to not just deliver a great game. I mean, the game is still in the process of being built, so that is technically, even with all the advances they've made, they've also had their fair share of setbacks and delays and everything else, and that's fine. It's going to be a long time. I never expected this game to be out in less than a decade, a little bit more, to be honest. I've never had any illusions about that or salt about it. It's fine. Do what you got to do, but get it done right. But that was only one half of the promise that Chris Roberts gave to us. He also pledged, you can go find that, he pledged to deliver a company that was going to treat us differently. And I'm not talking special snowflake treatment. I'm talking about treat us like human beings, as opposed to the demonized version of experiences that a lot of us have had with some of the larger corporate entities. And, right? Under the bus. And I feel like he has walked away from his responsibilities to those words. And and I know that backers like to go back and be like, well, in the small print, it says that it can change. There is a difference between, well, we need to change this because for balance, and, well, that ammo needs to have its range changed, and all these other things, or we need to change because the technical limitations of the game weren't known then. Those are all fine. Yeah. However, policies that, intimately touch the backer's ability to financially interact with the game and things like that, those things changing 180 from the original statements you made without real address, or and why always reactionary? Just like you said, Asuna, we need this information ahead of time. We need to see it coming. So I'm tired of being blindsided, and that's all I got. So please hear that.
Your solution now, Traz.
Was just to honor your promises and give us information ahead of time. I guess I'm on the tailcoats of what you said, because it's 10 to 10. Information up front.
I think it's indeed a case of providing information up front. That's one of the things. Involving the backer community where as possible and makes sense, because that's one thing that's right now is not happening at all. As I said, the communication needs to be a two-way street.
Yes.
One of the other things I would like to suggest that they do is create a section on the website for information in document form, where it's going to be updated and easily searchable and is easily referenceable. Because a lot of the information that may or may not be out there, a lot of people are discussing and shouting and fighting over things, and there's maybe information out there, but it's impossible to find.
Yep.
And that's another problem. There is a lot of information, but if the information is not something that you can locate easily, it is pointless, because that is just as good as having no information. So that's a suggestion that I would very much offer them, work on that, and on that same section is the perfect place to put those design documents and ideas. Start giving us those things, because if you put those ideas out there, guess what? We can also give feedback on those ideas. So hey, two-way street once again. Right. And finally, indeed, that's also and same thing, you can even incentivize them for the ideas, and also as we mentioned on the forums, incentivize good behavior, punish bad behaviors. And one of the things you could also do for the mods is a mod can of course punish people, but at the same time give the mods the power to give those people a forum badge, give those people some forum points, give them some karma points, whatever you want to do. It may sound very small, but it works. People like those kind of things. And you can even, every month you can link some sort of rewards to them or something like that. They don't need to be large at all. They can be very small. But having those things out there, that incentives to be a good member of the community, I think is going to make a lot of difference, in combination with having information available having things transparent. Because if you have the right information there, transparent, incentivize the good and constructive criticism and debates on those subjects, you're going to end up with a community that's going to be a lot less boring, and you're going to end up with a lot more useful feedback.
Yeah, can I add one more thing? Like,
sure.
We have seen the volunteering team, and we've seen bar citizen people. I want to see that in the entire community. I feel like that, not just going to the bar citizens, get that feeling. I want to see it on the forums. Like, I love going to the bar citizen because it's such a good family, such an awesome time. Can I get that on the forums as well? And bring back the support to streamers and such, because streamers feel left out now. They're no longer getting information. Streamers bring information out as well, and they in turn will bring their support and the support of their viewers to CIG, and that's no longer happening now.
Yeah, you can, those kind of things, you can still do it. Like, okay, give the streamer the information, and 24 hours you put it in the website section where all the information is available.
Well, or just, you know, do a better job of putting that information out there. I don't know if it would be the right choice to hold back. I think CIG.
Yeah, I'll hold back. Put it right there.
Hold back, and then you ended up with information behind walls, and as much information as they do share, a lot of times people still feel like they're left out high and dry. I mean, but it would. But it's a good. It's not a bad suggestion.
Let's not go into it once again.
Right. Like you don't have to put it behind a wall. You can put the information out. Streamers bring information to people in a different way than it's on the forums, because not everyone is looking there again.
But that's why I'm saying you need that one centralized source for information.
Yeah, of course you need that central source. But if streamers want to have questions that's already been answered on the forums, you can do that. Have those interviews, because streamers reach a different kind of audience than the forums do.
I am very, very for putting the questions to the developers and also allowing them to answer those questions. That's also a very important thing. And you can do that under the caveat. You know, they are answering them with their opinions, their mindsets, and their information that they have available. You can make that very much clear. But again, that's transparency and clarity. Like you're saying, these people respond from what they know, and everything, as always, things can change. But like, it feels so much nicer because there are people out there in CG when they give you out the information, when they talk. Brian Chambers, for example, like you feel that passion. Spirit lift. You feel that passion lift, and it's not the hype that you feel. You feel the passion. I think that's very important.
He's such a straight shooter, you know. Like I mean, I've met a lot of the devs. They're all amazing, and not everybody is great in front of the camera, and it's not for everybody.
They don't have to.
But Brian definitely is awesome. Like he's just really down to earth, and that's amazing. I mean, we had I won't get into it.
I had a good talk with him like 2 years ago, just before the bar citizen. And it's an amazing guy, and so are a lot more people that you don't know about in Star Citizen. As developers, there's such amazing people you just don't know about them, and they love to talk about the game.
I've met quite a lot of them Asuna as well. You know, through the volunteering, you see quite a few of them. You talk to them, and it's just there is so much passion behind the project, and just show it and give us all of that, because we want to share that passion. I think that's what it comes down to. So I think we have a very I think, as I said, like to start, we are in agreement on quite a few points, putting it on an outside perspectives. But I do think that some of the solutions here that are offered should be reasonably doable to implement, I think, for CRG, and I think the benefits are relatively clear. Of course, that is under the caveat. Of course, that is what we can see. We are, in the end, of course, no experts. We have our experiences and we have our beliefs, and that's of course where we're going to talk from. That's where we're going to work from. As with everything. So if you have different ideas, if you have different suggestions, if you think that some of the things that we suggest are not possible or should be made slightly different, put it down in the comments below, bring those arguments out there. But I will ask you fund them well, base them well, and if you see somebody else you don't agree with, disagree on the points. Never disagree on the person, because it's the points that are going to matter. And that's something I will also want to make clear for us towards CIG. It's like, we are not, like, we mention people, and it's not that we dislike a certain people. We dislike certain points that they make. We dislike certain viewpoints that they may have, or certain things that they're doing. It's not a personal item. So that's something that's very important. We are not here to attack anybody. And if you think like you should attack anybody, I'm going to be very clear and say sort of, being very polite.
Yeah, just go somewhere else.
Yeah, just don't do it at all.
And I have a pet white tiger. It'll bite your face off. Don't go.
It's very dangerous. So with that all said and all of the caveats and everything mentioned, I would say that this will mark the end of the first episode of the Citizen Situation. I hope you all enjoyed it and that it will start some critical but constructive thinking. As always, we hope today's episode will help Star Citizen to succeed, because that's why we're out here.